right. Did I answer all your questions? Okay. Okay, so let's walk through some of these. These are not so bad. 36, it talks about like donated medicines and donated services and all of that kind of stuff. So it says during the year, Anderson Hospital incurred the following. So donated medicines, donated services. Key there is a replaced salary workers, fair value of additional donated services where they did not need that person. Interest income, regular charges, charity care, and provision. So if you just walk down this list, donated medicine, of course, they needed it, so it's going to get recorded as an asset and a contribution. Donated services, and the key here is it's replacing a salaried worker. Well, then you need it, and you record it, right? If it's not a salaried worker, it's not recorded. So if you wouldn't have, somebody's volunteering and you didn't need it, you don't record it just because they donated some kind of service. Of course, interest income you have to because you're going to get cash, right? Charges to patients, of course, it's an increase in your receivables and your revenues until you get it. Charity care, if you had no intention of collecting it, never, then it doesn't get recorded. Okay, if you did not intend to ever collect. And then provision for bad debts. The amount is anticipated, and then we record this as a direct reduction to the revenue as such, like you would expect. And we'll see an example of that in another problem. Does that make sense? So the big thing for like 36, of course, if it's donated medicine, we record that. Donated services, if it's, a social worker that we would have hired anyway, and now this person is volunteering their time, then we record it. So if this would be like a social worker that we would have hired somebody to do the work anyway, and now we have someone that's just donating their time, then we record that as a donated service. If it was a social worker that wants to work and we would not have hired that social worker or any other social worker to do that work, then that is not a service that we would have recorded. Okay. Number 37, it just asks here, the following questions concern the appropriate accounting for a private non-for-profit healthcare. So what is a third-party payer? Well, third-party payer, as we all know, is an insurance company, Medicare. What is a contractual adjustment? So, of course, a contractual adjustment is that agreed to amount that they're willing to pay. So like Wellmark Blue Cross Blue Shield has said, we will pay X amount of dollars for this one procedure. And that contractual adjustment is agreed to by the healthcare provider and the insurance payer. So does that make sense? So if you have, let's just say Wellmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, and you go in and have your hip replaced, they have made some kind of contractual agreement with Avera that we will pay X amount of dollars for that hip replacement, and because we're going to send all of our Wellmark Blue Cross customers to your facility. How does a non-for-profit healthcare entity account for donated? Oh, okay, we already talked about donated materials and services in number 36. Okay. 30. Any questions on 36 or 37? Okay. 38. Under Lennon's hospital rate structure, it earned patient service revenue of $9 million for the year ended. However, Lennon did not expect to collect this entire amount because it deemed $1.4 million to be charity care and estimated contractual adjustments to be $800,000. $1.4 million in charity care. During 17, Lennon purchased material supplies. It was later donated. All right. So it asks the question here, Lennon is a private non-for-profit entity. How much should Lennon record as patient service revenue? Patient service revenue. Well, it started with what? 9 million. Right out of the gate, you take off 1.4 million. Charity care that they never expected. So that gets you down to 7.6 million. And then you're going to have this contractual adjustment that's going to get to your net patient service revenue here of 6.8 million. So your revenue is going to start right off at 7.6 million. You're never going to record that 1.4 in that 9 million because you never expected to receive that. And of course, the supplies is exactly like we talked about in 36. It will now be an increase in your, you're going to have contribution revenue, and then you're also going to have an asset recorded for the supplies. Yes. Why don't they even record it? Simply, I think the main reason is all you're doing is grossing up your revenue only to take it right back down for charity care, and you're still down to the net income. So you're really just you're overstating. You know, when you knew you never ever were going to record that as revenue. Does that make sense? Because it's really not revenue if you were never going to expect to receive, you know, the earnings process. Yep, yep. So if there was a patient though that, you know, you put them on a payment plan and write some of it off, that's completely different, you know, because you did expect to receive it. But like, for instance, downtown Sioux Falls, there is the community health clinic, which I know Avera supports that, and they bring their nurses there and doctors there. And in fact, I think even our own Professor Jill Pitts in the nursing department, I think she works there. Um, those patients know that there's never a bill, so there was never the expectation to record that as revenue. Good question, Macy. 39, it reads here, Wilson is a private for nonprofit voluntary health and welfare. During 17, it received unrestricted pledges, unrestricted, 600 grand, 60% which are payable in 17 and the remainder in 18. Officials estimate that 15% of all pledges will be uncollectible. Okay, 15% out of the gate, they're never going to collect. So the question is, how much should Wilson report as contribution revenue? Contribution revenue. Right here, 510. They're expecting 90% that will not be collectible. Their 600,000 was pledged. They're going to actually collect 510. So of that 510 though, we can put 306,000 or 60% in this unrestricted net assets. And we're not going to get the other 40% until the following year. So we're going to put that into temporary restricted. And the rationale there is we're going to get what we're going to get in 17, right? And it said 60% of it. Well, that's great, but the 40% that we're not going to get until 18, we have to put that into temporary restricted. So time needs to happen before we can move that over into unrestricted. And we will do that. When we get into 18 and we collect it, we're going to move it out of temporary into unrestricted. Just move it from one bucket to the next. Anybody have questions on just part A? Okay. Letter B, again, it's that social worker example. They're earning 20 bucks an hour. Without these donated services, the organization would have hired. Okay, well then, since she donated 600 hours at 20 bucks an hour, we're going to record that. And you know what, Macy, remember we just got done talking about this charity care that it's totally different. I understand it's totally different. And I got done telling you that it inflates the P&L, it inflates the revenue and whatnot. Well, in essence, this kind of does the same thing. However, the difference is we would have hired somebody to do the work. And fortunately, we were able to find someone to do it for nothing. So then we just, we increase our expense by 12, and we show also the contribution services, contributed services. So the revenue of 12 and the salary expense of 12. It still is a no effect, no overall effect is created, but we do record it. Questions on number 39? Nobody? Let's talk about the rest of this semester a minute. Okay, so let me stop sharing my screen here a minute, if I can figure that out again. Am I back? Okay. So how are you guys sitting with finals? Do you have a lot of finals coming up? Final projects? So this is kind of what my plan is. So on Thursday, we will finish our last exercise, number 41. And then what I'm thinking about doing, and I just wanted to hear from you guys kind of what your thoughts are. I would probably open up this early, and you would be able to have this one done before the week of the finals. Does that work for you guys? Feel okay? We're done. I mean, I don't want to drag this out. That's not good for you also. So I thought we'll just finish on Thursday. And then probably what we'll do is take it next week. And and I'll explain how we'll do it and all of that. But so it won't be done then during the week of finals. Are you okay with that? All right. I don't want, and if it's a problem, that's fine too. And I can work with you and have yours done a different time. So, all right. Anything else for me? Yeah. Yep. Yep. Of course, there's those little, we're going to look at 41 on Thursday, and we'll see some, you don't have, oftentimes you don't have as many funds, so, but yeah. Did you hear it thunder last night? Thunder and lightning? Holy smokes. You sleep good then. Good. Hey, well, you guys enjoy your day, all right? All right. Thank you.